guys, it's your favorite radio host, the one and only Apostle Erica Monique Glenn. So as you guys know, I announced yesterday that I was going to go on a new adventure that's led by God. And what I'm going to start doing is talking about different things that's going on in the news media, different things that I see that's concerning, different things that's going on in the world. And and I'm going to share what God places on my spirit to share, okay? And I'm just going to have discussions about it. Many of you are probably familiar with some of the things that I post on social media, like even with the Nancy Guthrie case. Like I would type things out, create news articles and different things of that nature. But now I'm going to be doing my own little broadcast. So again, this time won't be like dedicated or, focused on celebrities and what they got going on, the drama, the chaos in their lives, but real cases like the Nancy Guthrie cases, the Nolan Wells. And today that's what I want to discuss is the Nolan Wells situation. And I already kind of shared a little bit on what God placed in my spirit regarding the case. And as we know, they haven't even turned over the evidence. They retrieved everybody's cell phone, different things of that nature. But as of now, they haven't announced anything to the media, to, civilians as to what they found. And if I'm not mistaken, what I just read on a website or on the internet is that they're going to actually disclose that information in court, and everybody's going to get it at the same time, which is good because as we know in life in general, when someone has access to something, okay, when someone receives evidence before someone else, that's when there's an issue, and people mess things up. Somebody turn things around. Some people alter videos, alter evidence. I don't like that. I can't stand a liar, okay? I cannot stand when people try to paint a picture to portray somebody as innocent or guilty when it's the opposite. Catch what I just said, okay? So it's unfortunate what this young man experienced, but I know what God placed in my spirit about the situation. And for some reason, I don't know about y'all, but when I think about this Nolan Wells case, I think about Emmett Till. I'm just being honest. Because we already know what happened to Emmett Till. If y'all don't know, I'm pretty sure your school should have taught you this in history. But he whistled at a Caucasian woman and his life was taken, okay? So it kind of reminds me of that, because I'm big on biracial couples. I don't look against that at all, okay? But at the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken, the woman he was talking to when he got off the boat was Caucasian. All right, got off the boat. And basically they said that he didn't get back on. He stayed there to talk to her on the island. So it's just so many stories, okay? Then, some of the things that she's sharing about, he did get back on the boat with his friends. People don't know. But then they also are trying to listen to the call of when his friends was calling in because they said the boat wasn't working. So different things are being altered. At the end of the day, who knows the truth? Nolan Wells, who's no longer with us in the physical. But just like in the Bible, with Cain and Abel, okay, people can't speak from the grave, okay? Because a lot of people got gifts in this world. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Take it how you want. But again, Nolan Wells knows the truth. God knows the truth, and those who are involved know the truth. So I already know for a fact everybody involved with his death, that is the cause of his death, that's withholding information. They don't have peace, believe it or not. Believe it or not, or whether you believe me or not, I know they don't have peace. I know they're losing sleep. I know they're anxious. I know different things are probably taking place with their health and their relationships. Because one of the things about it, I'm like, everything done in dark always comes to light. All right, so you got his so-called best friend and the mom and dad, Nolan moms and dad, like turn on each other, saying, oh, that's not his best friend. We didn't know of him. And then the young man was like, oh, well, I only met him when I was a freshman in high school. So it's just like, what's really going on? And I'm not gonna lie, like when I heard about that, I'm like, okay, this reminds me of a situation where, people they agree to do something, right? And then they be like, you know what? We don't want to take the fault. So the best thing we could do is try to project or plant, the crime on the other person. So it makes me, I'm just, look here, just kind of throwing this out there. Like, say if his mom and dad was involved, okay? And root cause of his death, and that was all planned. And his so-called best friend was part of it. And then they had a falling out. Who do y'all think they're going to believe first? Either the best friend or the mom and dad? And then a lot of people, not saying his parents did this, but I'm just saying a lot of people hire young people to do their dirty work because they feel like they're just going to get a slap on the wrist, that they're not going to do time. They can be like, oh, if it's your first offense, you got a little time, to do in jail or whatever the case may be. Or who's going to believe you over me? So I'm the type of person, when it comes down to everybody, you know how they say you're innocent until proven guilty? No, you're guilty until proven innocent. Everybody's on the I would investigate everyone. Whether or not his parents was on the boat or not. I'm like, no, they were aware. Because you know how many people, families turn on them? You know how many people, families take their lives for money reasons, for life insurance reasons? I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying that's what they did, but I'm just saying everybody, when it comes down to me, is guilty until proven innocent. Everyone. I'm not putting nothing past no one. Because if that's the case, this whole message, me talking about this situation, would be a lot different. And this young man right here, okay, is now gone because of this. And everybody's trying to point fingers. Everybody's trying to say, well, he was on the boat, he wasn't on the boat, or this and that, trying to paint pictures. No. Well, this was his best friend. This is not his best friend. God is not the author of confusion. And he's cutting it down. So I just thank God that they're not giving the evidence to one person or one department, and then they're looking over it, and then they're like, okay, now everybody's going to see it. Based on what I read, they said they're going to provide it to everyone at the same time. Okay? So I'm praying that God has people in place, that's men and women of integrity, because again, just because somebody works in the field doesn't mean they're operating in integrity, doesn't mean their hands are clean. Okay? Just because someone has access to evidence, a video, documentation, doesn't mean they're clean. You know how many dirty people are out there? And we see that in the news now. A lot of these people are going to jail. A lot of these people are being caught in frauds. A lot of these people are being literally exposed for all their dirty work that's been taking place throughout the years. But no one was bold enough to expose them. Because this is not the first time. This is not the first rodeo. This is not the first time around the block. Meaning, I'm pretty sure these same people that's getting caught in mess, getting caught and exposed as frauds and all that, they work alongside people that see the truth in them. It's people around them that sees like, okay, this person's dirty. Same thing in police departments. Like, okay, I know this person or this officer isn't really doing their job the correct way. So believe me, there's people around all these people that see the truth. And guess what? God is holding them accountable too. You're just as guilty as the person committing a crime. Because you got the opportunity to speak up. You have the opportunity to do what's right, but you refuse to do so. That's confirmation. How that light just went off. So yeah, you're in darkness. I'm just saying, I'm just a messenger. But that's my tidbit on the Nolan Wells case, and I really feel in my spirit we're getting closer to justice for this young man. It's not gonna take years, because there's people who was murdered like 30 plus years ago, and they're finding these people, the people who committed the murders, committed the crimes, living in other countries, now they're going to jail. So that's what I'm saying. God is not playing. Justice is being served, even for people that's been dead for decades. But I know for a fact, and I speak this over Nolan Wells' case, it's not going to take that long. It's not going to take that long. And the same thing that I'm speaking over his case, the same thing goes for Nancy Guthrie's case, because that's a whole different news. You could consider this a news report. That's a whole different news report for another time. But when it comes down to Nolan Wells, his family, or those who truly had his best interest at heart, won't have to wait that long to receive justice. Amen? Amen. So again, thank you for tuning in for my very, very first, I would say my news broadcast on what I feel, well, not just based on what I feel, but what I know God has placed on my spirit about the Nolan Wells case, okay? And how he's allowing me to see it, especially comparing that to the whole Emmett Till situation. Racism still exists, okay? And not only that, jealousy. People who are jealous and envy are willing to do anything, okay? Because remember, God is not the author of confusion, and Satan only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So if someone's jealous and envious, they're willing to kill, they're willing to steal, they're willing to do whatever it is they feel they need to do to get what they want and to bring forth their agenda. So if they feel like you're in the way, or they feel like you're getting attention, or whatever the case may be, whatever vendetta they may have against you, they're going to end up trying to do that. They're going to try to either hire someone to do it, or they're going to do it themselves. Okay? But make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. I'm just, talking about this. And then if there's any updates on the Nolan Wells case and all that, of course, I would be doing that. But I'm excited about it. So again, even when it comes down to these news reports that I share, if God leads me to, of course, I'm going to always give some safety tips, because I already kind of shared about the Nolan Wells case about being mindful of who you travel with, and everyone's not your friend. And if you have some falling out with people, and then they just, mysteriously say, hey, I want to take you out of town, or on a boat, or whatever the case may be, you might not want to go, okay? Because Nolan Wells is not the first person that lost his life and amongst so-called friends. I'm just saying. I remember the young lady who went to Cancun, Mexico with her friends. They came back. She didn't. Look that up. This happened, maybe 2 years ago? African-American young lady in her mid-20s, early 20s. Went to Cancun, Mexico with some so-called friends, but I'm pretty sure they were already on the outs. And never came back. They came back, but she didn't because she lost her life. Just saying. Again, everyone's not your friend. All right? Thank you for tuning in.